Should a final walkthrough be part of every real estate transaction? Let's talk about it. A final walkthrough is just that. The buyer and agent take a walk through the house before signing papers and closing. It's a chance to make sure that everything's in order and that nothing has changed since the last time they were in the house. A final walkthrough isn't required by law, but it shouldn't be overlooked. My brokerage actually requires a walkthrough as a way of protecting the buyer, but it's actually a way of protecting the seller as well. So when should you schedule a walkthrough? I like to do them usually the day before closing. That way we have enough time to make amends if needed, but not too much time that things could really change before we hit the closing table. Sometimes I'll do them the morning of a closing, but only if I'm really sure that the house is going to be in stellar shape. During a walkthrough, you want to go room by room and make sure that the house is in the same condition as when you purchased it, or maybe even better. And once the walkthrough is complete, I have buyers sign a document that says they toured the house and are accepting the condition. The walkthrough is a great chance to look at repairs that have been done. You've already received receipts, but now you can see things in person. I like to bring the repair amendment with me and go through each item one by one. It's also good to note if there's anything missing that was supposed to be staying. If the seller has removed fixtures that weren't excluded in the contract, they need to bring them back and reinstall them prior to closing. It doesn't happen much, but it does happen. If the seller has already moved out prior to the walkthrough, it's ideal. You can really see the house as a blank slate without furniture or throw rugs hiding things. And you can see if any damage occurred during move out. On a lesser note, you can also make sure that the seller has actually taken all of their items. If there's a garage full of junk, the seller has a little extra work to do before closing. Where does it get tricky? When there's a lease back in place and the sellers are still going to be living there after closing. In that situation, I still do a walkthrough before closing so that the new buyers can still get an idea of the condition of the home. And that way, when they do move in, when the lease back ends, they have a baseline for the condition. So what happens if there is an issue during a walkthrough? The first step is for the buyer's agent to call the seller's agent and see if the situation can be remedied prior to closing. Often it can. If it's a really big issue and it can't be fixed prior to closing, closing may have to be delayed. Or if you're going ahead with closing, the title company may hold some funds in an escrow account to take care of the issue before releasing the proceeds to the seller. So how the situation is dealt with is really going to depend on the timing of the issue and the needs of both parties. The bottom line is a walkthrough is one more way to protect both parties in a transaction, and it should never be skipped. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex? I'd love to help you. You can find all of my contact information in the description below.